viewers, welcome to the What's the Trend show. I'm your host, Major Sunil Shetty. Recently, the Indian startup ecosystem had a major milestone with Zomato, being part of 30 top startups listed companies in Sensex. Now that means a big, it's a big statement for the Indian startup system. And to understand what does it mean, from a entrepreneur standpoint, from an investor standpoint, and also from an enabler standpoint, I have a panel of guests who are going to be sharing their insights into it. So my first guest is Madam Namita Banka, who is the founder of Banka Bio. Madam, welcome to the show. Then my next guest is Mr. Ramesh Bills, who's the founder of Time.Money, who's also advisor to investments. And then last but not the least, JSS Sivaram Prasad, your friend, who's a chartered accountant, and he sits on board of many startups. Guest, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hope to have a nice conversation.
Perfect. So, let's start by understanding, what it means, for an entrepreneur when his or her company gets listed on stock market. It's a dream definitely for many entrepreneurs, especially, when you're a startup, when you're a small company, when you're just starting off. So to understand that, I'll request Namita Banka to share her, experience, because her company got listed in NSE in 2018. Currently, it is on the main board. So over to you, madam. Share us, what was your experience? What are your initial, the joy part of it when you got listed on NSE?
So, being a private limited company itself is a big thing. And then you dream of becoming a public limited company, and above that, getting listed. So it's a journey actually, but it just happened that nobody explored the public market as a to go market for funding. And when we had this opportunity and when we were looking desperately for funds, so we had lots of ifs and buts. The private players said, no, this is not a profitable business. The public definitely doesn't have to say anything about it. And but it all speaks about what is your long-term goal. And as an entrepreneur, you always want to grow every year, want funds every year. So NSC exchange, or the SME exchange, what we have in India, is a beautiful platform for startup like ours, or the companies who have turnovers like 15 crores, 30 crores, and they want to scale to the next level. And when we started thinking in 2018 and 17, it was a very idea was very much not appreciated. Definitely people said, no, you're not going to get it, you're not going to happen, it's too expensive, the compliances are too high. So everybody used to make us very scared, they're scared, that thing that are mat jao wahan pe, don't go there. So that was a kind of a mixed feeling. We just entered into an unknown jungle and we said, let's do it. And that's what it happened. So to answer your first question, how was the feeling? It was neither happy nor sad. We just wanted the money. That's all at that moment of time.
Shiv Prasad, you are a chartered accountant and you get to see the books, the books, that the red book, where all the sins and everything that is hides there. So what are your experience when you talk to entrepreneurs about them, their aspiration to be part of the stock market, getting listed, especially in reference to startups?
Kudos and congratulations to Dipendu on great success of Zomato. And before connecting with Zomato per se as a subject, India as a nation and e-governance and digitization and startup ecosystem within the country since 2016, specifically to 2015 July, more specifically, where the new government as incumbent government has taken up and initiated two big leap jumps. It's a validation of India's digitization success. A new company, though there is a company called Zomato was established way back in 2008 and was taking smaller baby steps and the digitization as a country that conforms to various subjects such as e-governance, e-kranti, universal access to mobile ecosystem, mobile connectivity, and public internet access systems, and broadband highway systems, information for all kind of these initiatives has directly benefited a company called Zomato. And it's a greatest validation of all times that Zomato today is on top 30 of Sensex. That motivates every startup or MSMEs, smaller companies, which is actually a backbone. And those who are compliant with regulation, law, discipline. Discipline is again not something writing on the wall. It is not an SOP. It is not a IFC framework. It is not a RCM framework. It is not a SOX document on the wall. It is my culture to be disciplined. That is India. It is in my culture. I don't cheat anybody. It is in my culture. I comply with the law. It is in my culture. So this is the kind of a new startup and new mindset of the young India and the future Indian. This is what is taking shape, and Zomato has actually demonstrated it. Even if every one of us, rather those audience would have seen or very few interviews which Deepu has given in the past, very disciplined, committed, like military army mein aapka jaisa hota hai, he is like that to his job. He is passionate with his job. I am passionate with my CA work. Like what we do agriculture में जो निकालते ना कीड़े, we work with everybody. In a farmland, when you go, there is not just the good plant, there is also a bad element is there. Unless you get into the site, you will not know which one is the weed and how to plug or how to make your way, ignoring those weeds. This is what he has done. He has executed, demonstrated beyond doubt, and going very strong. Strength to strength. This is a validation of India's digitization. This is a validation of India's, Startup India, Stand Up India initiatives by Modi ji's government. And the success out of this startup ecosystem, when you specifically asked this, there was about a 10,000 crore fund which was given, never in the history earlier, right? And companies were given advisory services, and e-regulation and compliance services, single window clearances. Yeah, these things were there earlier, but not in practice. Now the things are coming in practice. We are experiencing that. The fruits of which we are actually started, enjoying. There is a long way to go for such companies, tech-based companies. Zomato हालांकि इडली कोई नहीं बनाता है, सांबर नहीं बनाता है वो. It's a technology company, as we all know. And that technology was made possible by a good governance. This ecosystem has made possible that the Zomato likes of these companies. I'm sure Mr. Ramesh would talk more about the Zomato and other comparable entities, which are technology backbone, but they do something else. I do a delivery, somebody does a cab, somebody else does something else, be it a Swiggy or Zomato or Ola. Anybody? So this kind of a system which is there, it is a validation of that. This is the first thing. And the startups, yes, be disciplined, be committed. You have your culture of your compliance. Don't worry about other things. You will go hit the roof one day. This is my opening remarks, and we'll talk about it as we go.
Thank you, Shiv-Prasad. So, Mr. Ramesh, you are somebody who advises HNIs and people with money where to put the money, right? So, are you seeing a trend as there are a growing number of startups getting listed? Is there an appetite among investors to invest in startups?
So before I kick off, thank you. Just want to kind of make a broad disclaimer. We are SEBI-registered investment advisors, so we cannot really recommend stocks. So whatever I talk about, Zomato, Swiggy, any other name, it's more in context of the discussion and not to be taken as a recommendation. I just want to kind of clarify because this is a public, media channel. So in that sense, want to make it amply clear. Oh, yeah, thank you. For your question, see, there are two sets of how we want to see this. One is this so-called private market where Zomato kind of mushroomed from, and then you have a listed market where, Mrs. Namita's company is listed. See that it's like honestly two different universes that they're all operating in. Because when you really get funded initially, you're looking at growth, size, and not really looking at cash burn. But the moment you come into a listed space, the optics are completely on the other side. So unless you really talk profitability, at some point the market will not have its faith on some of these names. So as a context, we spoke about Zomato. 2021 it got listed, but if you see post listing, after a few months you saw a big decline in the price because they were still burning capital. They were still growing and burning capital. Market was not really keen on something on those lines. But typically over time, once they started talking profitability, then the sentiment changed. You look at this, another aspect to what, to extend it properly, is what Mr. Sai said. See, typically this breed of entrepreneurs are fearless, right? End of the day, I don't think they are, worried about innovating. Just look at Zomato, what we spoke about. You from a food discovery to delivery, and then when Blinkit came through, there was a lot of hangama saying that is it wise, is it a good price and all. But the way they scale Blinkit has been massive. I think they are able to foresee certain trends that we as outsiders really cannot see. And they've done enough things that have really not worked. Their overseas market expansion has not worked. So they kind of cut those unprofitable markets very, very fast. Same time, others like Swiggy are pivoting into like Genie, which is the delivery of goods, within the city. They're getting into pharma now. Obviously, there's dining that's coming through. So I think you'll see a lot more innovation. I think they're very fearless. They're using tech significantly with AI, machine learning. End of the day, I think they're able to engage with customers on an ongoing basis. And that is what keeps the interest alive. To extend your question, I think we're just seeing the beginning. A lot more will eventually come because ultimately all these successful startups in the private space are all going to get an exit for those investors in the public markets. So we've seen the trend in the US. We've seen quite a bit in China. I think India is just starting off. There'll be different phases of sentiment and expectation. But given the next 10 years, you will see a lot more activity and you'll see a lot more companies getting larger and being part of mainline indices. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, thank you for that. Mr. Ramesh, just taking that question forward, your statement, you said, the new breed of entrepreneurs are fearless, right? They're
Right.
going out there and doing it. Do you see at some stage probably the Nifty 50 or the Sensex 30 would have, entrepreneurs or businesses of this kind, the new age businesses than the traditional ones?
I think it's a long time away because the profit pools are really, really massive on the larger companies. But it's just a start. I think it'll take some time. I don't think that share of new age versus traditional businesses will really, change the next 5, 10 years. But given a 20-year runway, I think there's many more that are going to come up. See, I think ultimately it is more about the size of the opportunity. And if you look at either food delivery, cabs, whichever ecosystem, ultimately I think one or two players will tend to take a large share of the profit pool, and that will drive their valuations and entry. So to answer your question, I think it's a beginning. It's a progress, but the traditional ones are really large. But over time, they're also innovating, and you will see probably some of these fintechs again operating under traditional, businesses also.
Namita, coming to you, as an entrepreneur, listing definitely would have got you, the much needed funds. What else did you get, as a company? What else did you get from that?
So apart from saying what I got from it, definitely a lot of things. But I would like to comment on what my other panelists said today was absolutely correct. So sometime as a company, when discipline definitely is the first thing, I think we were very unique to just get our papers done, but in just 2 months, which takes months to happen. We were approved in just 2 months. So I think discipline is very, very important for startups if they want to go on a public platform. Coming back to next as fearless, yes, when you take up some new areas, like sometimes we get little disheartened saying, oh my god, it's so slow, our growth but I think in public market, when you are going, you need to give a consistent growth. Second is that profitability and cash flows. These three things, if you're keeping, there's a long way to go. And you should not think like we as a company sometimes think, yeah, we are going very slow, because if you see, we started in 2012 and it's 12 years, and how we have grown steadily over the time. So there'll be companies with the tech like Zomato and others who will grow massively over the time, but there'll be companies like ours who are growing slowly, but they'll be sustainable for a very long time, because They are developing a lot of innovative products. They are developing a lot of new things. And when I see a lot of companies who are listed in our sector, the water and sanitation sector, they are definitely very old companies. So if I compare with them, I am the grandchild or maybe fourth grand people. So for us, we are no in hurry, and startups should think that way when they come to this particular market. Second thing is that don't look at your share prices every day. I don't look at them at all. And what I got from it, yes, I got so many things. I got people recognized us as a credible company. Then we ourselves were anyway very disciplined about our compliances, so that never troubled us as to why compliances needs to be so much or something. Then third is that the recognition that you get when you're there as a small company or large, nobody knows like whether you listed at a small or this. But today what you are, they look at it. If you have not done well, they will tell you that. If you have done well, they will tell you that. So that's what I believe. This and very very cooperative market. People really react to your good performance, and yeah, our volumes are lesser because we are still a very tightly held company, and our volumes are less. But we have seen significant belief of people, new sets of investors coming, putting in money. So it's a lovely journey that we are having, and we love to be a public limited company.
And how much is the pressure of quarterly filings that really takes away your time as a founder?
No, it doesn't take my time. Why should it take my time? I'm doing my job. My team is doing the other job. So I don't have any compliance level stress on me. Yes, as a team of management, we do have stress about performance every quarterly. Yes, what are the numbers? And since we are in an infrastructure development also, so it is quite slow. So every month, 3 months, the numbers sometimes really stresses a lot because projects need to get completed to bill it, and now it's everything is so transparent, billings are so transparent. So it's just that's the only stress, not much. Otherwise, the compliance level is very streamlined. Once it is streamlined, I don't think so it's really like, and you have a CS, CFO, everybody doing that job for you. So I don't think so that's a problem.
So Sai, coming to you, as Namita said, it's a journey, right? It's not 1 year, 2 years. It's like a decade long, right? As you interact with startups and you're part of, startup being on their board, do you see that this understanding is there among entrepreneurs that it's a marathon race, it's not a 100-meter sprint?
Absolutely. Yeah. Technology today in the country is just not a sector. I believe, and many of us so, it is a fundamental element for driving India's future.
Yes.
And we say this, it says we are going to be there for long. And this startup ecosystem, particularly, is an integral part in improving, either you call it as a quality of life, boosting economic development, skilled jobs, youth. You talk about all these things. And all the four are ready and waiting for a much bigger role to play in coming days in the country. And this is only a tip of the iceberg. The larger picture is due, and which Zomato established with the support of the Digital India movement, as I already said. And particularly when you said we are more resilient, I will tell you one instance very specifically why we are resilient in technology, why we are resilient. The pandemic preparedness, government on one side doing its job, perfect. But the COVID-19 pandemic, which has demonstrated a critical role for technology companies in maintaining business continuity, undeniable. And it is not just somebody working from one office or something. It has enabled the remote working. Do we at all realize thousands and lakhs of our own clients and employees working from their local remote villages and getting connected to the net and then working their full-time job, 8 hours? Many a times, as individuals, we have more energy to work on the flip side, but on the positive side, on the technology, you interpret this. People are ready to do double job, triple job. This was possible with technology and enabling technology. Moonlighting. I have time. I could work. So technology today, network today, seamless online availability today, they are all given in this country. This is a greatest achievement of its times by the recent government. And what it has done, the pandemic response preparedness, what it has done, it has made us ready for future growth and development. So these are the two things, and the people, and as Ramesh rightly said, people wanted to take risk and go all out. This is where we have the commitment for long-term vision. Definitely, I don't see it as a short-term thing. People are not here to make some few bucks here and there. They are not looking at it. People are committed and they are sustainable. They are environment friendly. Many people, including if you take Zomato, Feed India initiative, it's not a normal thing for a startup to do, but they embraced with a thought that they will be there for a long time. They just not changed the way India eats, also with a foundation which is socially creating awareness and preparedness for themselves. There are so many challenges. They could have done their own business. That's it, profitability. But they thought about it because they wanted to be long term in the game. So definitely, I see all entrepreneurs to be are there in the long term for a long term benefit and to be hand in hand for India's growth and going up to the third number stage, $5 trillion economy. I look at it as a very likely possibility in the fastest possible time.
So, Sai, that brings me to the next question is at what stage should startups typically should be looking at listing? I know there are 3 years period you have to be there and it should have some numbers, but should they immediately jump in at once they've done 3 years, or do you advise them to, probably go through, probably take some QIBs, HNIs, funds, and then at some stage go to listing? What would you advise?
There is a lot of money in the market. Ramesh would tell you many stories. There is a lot of money. There is no dearth of money, and IPO is not the only way. People are there to bet on you once you are disciplined, you are committed to your job, you are mad about your concept, your culture is in compliance, and the skill is your ability, and creating a job for somebody else for passion. That is my passion, to create many number of jobs out of a particular thought that I have. This is what upskilling the workforce. When these things are there, there is no dearth of money. Even today, be it Startup India giving money, banks are giving money, or even coming into the equity role. Or if you take HNI categories, people are investing monies, big monies for expansion. Once they see the roadmap very clear, once they are sure about your potential, the intellectual property enabled services that you can do, there is no infringement. You are straightforward, straight jack person, and your value system is what is respected today. There is money, and we can see money in many aspects. And of course, who does not want to get listed? Ram, I will leave this to Ram for answer. But yes, definitely, people are there who can fund and take it ahead for a longer tenure before they offload their stake in the public.
So, Ramesh, coming to you with the same question, at what stage do you think, entrepreneurs should start looking at listing?
See, there are two elements to this entire answer. One is where you're on the business model and how much scale have you built? Have you built resilience or not? Beyond the founder's vision, do you have a team to support what they're doing? But if you look at, interestingly, on the private equity side, when they first get funded, their rope is in terms of the number of years is fairly long. So all the guys are anywhere from 7 to 10 years. So there's no really hurry to say, hey, you have 3 years completed, let's go and list it. I think the runway to grow is massive. The way it happens is for example, let's take any category of e-commerce, right? You end up having in the first 3-4 years, maybe 3-4-5 players really active, but ultimately 1 or 2 only get funded and then grow big. So 3 years is really a short period to say, hey, I think it's ready to now go and listing. So you'll see over 4-5 years, you'll see meaningful, contribution in terms of the capital that comes on to the company to grow. And ultimately the third, fourth, fifth player either gets acquired or kind of gets, wind down. So you can look at any large player, like you can look at Uber, came to India, Uber, Uber Eats, had to sell off to Zomato. Amazon tried, didn't work out. Ola tried. They were not funded. They were large cash just in place, but ultimately beyond the point, you really can't scale all businesses. So to that extent, I think 3 years is too short. The window that you see, an example of Zomato, the topic of today, the incorporation is 2008, listing is 2021. So it's a good 13 years to kind of get listed. But within 3 years, it moved into the frontline indices. So to the extent, I don't think it's more a measure of time, but it's more a measure of how strong the business model and kind of modes they've built, which will determine when you want to get listed. And typically 7 to 10 years is a time frame where existing investors will provide before they say we want to move on and let somebody else kind of take over the mantle from there.
Yeah.
So 2 3 years is a shorter time. You need a longer runway.
Okay, now for a moment, if you wear, as an advisor's hat,
Right.
and if you if you can share the insights of what's the thought process of investors today. I mean, especially when we know that today, the sub 30 years, there are a lot of them coming in, post COVID. So you can share that, especially from the standpoint of a startup,
See,
okay, market and then startup.
No. So I'll give you in different perspectives. But see, in one sense, if you look at it, it's a young India right now. Whatever average demographic age we have is about 28, 29 years. In 10 years, that moves to 32. So it's not like we're really getting old as a country. The youngsters are all used to, it's all habit forming, right? End of the day, if I have a habit of using certain things, I will continue to keep doing that. So I don't think this is really going, out of fashion. I think there's a long runway to grow for these guys to do it, and the adoption to tech is far higher with the younger, youngsters who come in and compared to what comes elsewhere. So to add another statistic, whatever numbers that we see from some international reports that get announced, there are about 115 million Indians coming into the workforce in the next 10 years. That number is humongous, and that number will only look at technology and adoption. And whereas people like me may want to really think and look older parts of the investing universe, the youngsters are a lot into a business that they understand. See, this difference between knowing the company to valuation is very, very different. But in terms of appetite, understanding, knowing the company, they find the cement company probably very boring, maybe very profitable. But you talk about any new age company they're exposed to, I think there's an interest is massive. So I don't think interest will die down. Yes, there'll be sentiment changes over time. Sometimes you'll have a lot of appetite for the way it's happening today on the new markets, because there's a window coming up and there's a lot of appetite. You see a lot of new listings, but eventually it's a phase that also will die down, and you will see the resurgence back in the next 2 3 years. So it's a phase, but it's not going to die down anytime soon. Trajectory is very long.
Coming back to you, Namita, not every journey is, rosy. So any challenges that you as an entrepreneur face post listing, which can be lessons for, other entrepreneurs out there?
So we didn't face any challenge as such, yeah. But the main was getting listed was a very big challenge for us, because when we were listed, we were just 18 crores in turnover, and it's just like people didn't understand that how come such a small company, and that also very niche company, really getting into public market and IPO. And for us, it was also very new. So the major challenge was that 15 days the window was there to get fully subscribed. But after that, what I see when you are in the stock market, your visibility of your company becomes very large. Like even Zomato, as soon as it became in public, it started looking like a credible company. It started looking bigger than what it actually is. So that's what I feel. When you take a lot of funding from private, you don't actually go out in the market and say that, yes, I am doing this, I am bigger than what I have, and I'm credible, I'm responsible, and this is what I'm doing. So that's what we got. And what I've seen in last 6 years is the kind of response from the clients have been very good. From the bankers, it has been very good. Bankers would not give us appointment, which started like actually giving us appointments very faster and very quickly. So I feel that's a journey in the IPO market, that you become very credible and recognized and visible company. Even the smallest, and many people connect with you, they will invest in you. So like the business that we are in is a water business and sanitation, which many people believe in that. They just say that they don't invest because my company is small or something, or it's going to become big. I've never heard any investor tell me this, that Namita, you're going to become, I'm going to make 10x 20x. Not like that. They like it, and they believe what others said, that people believe in you, the founder, the value, the passion we have, and I think they want to just ride. They can just put in their money to see it grow and how we are helping the world. I think that's a new generation entrepreneurs as well as new generation investors also. They want to put some of the portfolio amount into these kind of businesses which are making a difference in life for people and the environment. I think that's a very big trend coming out at the moment. I think
Uh,
both of them will agree to this.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
yes, so that's the other thing, right? You did mention a few times, about technology companies, right? Whereas companies like Banka Bio, they are infrastructure company, but with technology, part of it may not be the cornerstone. But then, how do you see companies like that, which may not be which may not have technology as the main business, but technology is part of the business?
See, technology is critical today in, you call it smart cities, smart city projects. Technology is critical for development of smart cities, and technology optimizes resources. Technology enables financial inclusion through, again, digital banking, you may call it, or mobile ecosystem, faster payments, fintech solutions. Not one, you just think about it, there are several things. They are all providing access to financial services to the deserved. And the newer technologies that are coming into, actually the next generation, as we can call perhaps, is blockchain and cryptocurrency as well, which are again emerging technologies. There are still some studies and RBI approvals need for them to come into India and operate officially or formally through a regulation, of course, which also provide a transparent financial transactions. So today, finance, infrastructure, and business all three requires one credible thing called technology. Digitization has given this solution in Indian context. Why India is roaring today across the globe is because of our success of our digitization. We prepared the platform in such a beautiful way today. Any disciplined person, committed person can just get success. Finance, there is a lot of opportunities. Those who do R&D, they will get finance. Those who are in startup, they'll get finance. Those who are into infrastructure, they'll get finance. Not just one. So this digital transformation and e-governance and the entire success is surrounded by this technology. That is the backbone today. Earlier, we were called agrarian technology. Now we are calling it Indian, backbone is technology. Not just in India, you see in many other countries, Indians performing at the top levels in technology companies. It is not new for us. We have embraced technology and we are most trusted people, more than all. Not just in India, everywhere, wherever you go. Europe, US, Singapore, Hong Kong, wherever you go, the most trusted business enterprise can be managed, headed, and senior management team includes Indians because they are trusted. This is the culture I am talking about. Culturally, we are ahead of others. And the technology has added today to that. So this combination is making all the magic. This was enabled by government. This is how I look at the whole spectrum.
So finally, before we close, I want to give a final, closing statement from Ramesh. Do you think the new age companies or the economy is going to shape the future of Indian stock market?
Partially, yes. It is like I said earlier, the journey's kicked off. I think we are heading there in the right direction. Just to probably add to what Sai said, I think the whole piece on technology is irreversible. I think we'll only see more and more appetite, interest, money chasing these things. I don't think, like Sai said, there is a dearth of capital in the country. There's a dearth of talent for sure. And I think if the right talent is there, there is enough money backing it. Even from funds, large family offices, large industries. So in the journey, I think we are in that stage. I think things have kicked off on the right path. But the share of the new age business in terms of the mind share, investing share, wallet share, share of the indices, all is only going to go incrementally up over the next 10, 20 years.
Well, with that, thank you very much, gentlemen, and Namita, Ramesh, and Sai for joining me here on this show. We hope to host you again on on other shows. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.